And I am Nancy Kay with the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County. Tonight, the League presents the candidates for the governing board of the McKinley Union School District. And we have 3 of the 4 candidates with us here tonight, and they are vying for 2 openings on the governing board. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. It encourages informed and active participation in government and works to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League of Women Voters does not endorse candidates or political parties. Before we begin, I'd like to explain that the League is presenting candidate forums on Zoom this year due to the pandemic. This Zoom forum format is new to League, and this is our very first Zoom forum. So please be patient and kind, and if we experience any technical glitches and rough spots during the forum, please just let us muddle through. League members are hosting and moderating and timekeeping the candidates. League member Becky Simpson is on the screen here, and she will be the timekeeper. The forum is being recorded and aired for viewing on Access Humboldt, also on YouTube and on the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County Facebook page. Links to the recorded forums and schedules will be advertised and made available to the public by the League. The recorded video is the property of the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County. The link to the video may be shared, but no portion of this video may be used for promotional or advertising purposes by candidates or organizations. The candidates have been placed in a random order for their speaking order. Each candidate will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements and 1 minute to answer each question. The questions from the public have been submitted to the League via email. Today, a nonpartisan panel reviewed the questions for duplication and to ensure that each question is answerable by all the candidates. So, the candidates for the governing board of the McKinleyville Union High School District, again, for 2 positions, we have candidate Manuel Fonseca, but he cannot be with us here tonight.
He actually just joined the call. I believe he's here.
Oh, good. Oh, Manuel, welcome. Go ahead and see if we can get a picture of you. Okay, so we will have Manuel Fonseca and Rachelle Hicks. Can you see her on your screen? Rach, you can wave. Chelsey Rios and Nicholas Somm, who is the incumbent. Okay, so we will begin with Chelsey Rios for a first opening statement.
Sorry, had to unmute myself here. Good evening. My name is Chelsey Rios, and I'm running for McKinleyville Unified School District Board Trustee. My husband and I were both raised here in Humboldt County, and we have chosen to raise our daughter right here in McKinleyville. I decided to run for school board because I am deeply invested in the success of all students in our district as both a community member and as a mother. I want to boldly advocate for students regardless of economic status, race, or religion. I want to be the voice for children who need someone to speak up for them and not be afraid to share perspectives that will help shape decisions that will impact our entire student population. I want to be a representative that is truly a representative. As a school board member, I will be enthusiastic about using data to monitor our continuous improvement, have transparency towards our community, and I will ensure that our students and staff will return to school buildings with a clear and workable plan with safety at the forefront. I would be proud to bring a rich and diverse viewpoint to our school board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next opening statement will be from Nicholas Somm.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank our forum hosts and certainly also my fellow candidates for showing up tonight. I'm honored the people of McKinleyville voted me to the board back in 2015, and in that time, I've worked with district leadership to achieve many successes. Some of those include further development of our dual language program and creation of a STEAM program, saving our residents over $30 million with aggressive board refinancing, safeguarding our district budget and reserve, and tapping into grant funds to build one of the most accelerated electric bus fleets in California, and also starting a data-driven approach to address shortcomings in our standardized test scores. There's always room for improvement, and some things I'd like to address upcoming to ensure our schools are places that all students feel safe, relevant, and have equitable learning success. This is especially true for our students of color, students with special needs, and we need to do a better job engaging the rich tribal history in our area. We need to rise out of economic and social hardships caused by the pandemic, and we need to do that with a focus on student achievement. I'm honored to have been voted as board president by my fellow board members and plan to use that leadership experience to guide us through certain challenges that await. Thank you.
Thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
Hi, my name is Manuel Fonseca, and I was appointed earlier this year to resume the vacancy left behind from my previous board member, and it's been a steep learning curve. I have enjoyed it quite well. I know times are difficult, decisions are difficult, and I feel I'm up for the challenge, and I want to thank everyone that has tuned in, and hopefully we can proceed with a successful election.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
Hi, I'm Rachelle Hicks, and it's with great pride that I'm running for the McKinleyville Union School District Board. I've grown up in Humboldt County my entire life, and I have been a resident of McKinleyville for over 20 years. My husband and I have 3 young boys who have all attended McKinleyville schools. I decided to run for school board because I believe our current board has silenced our parents and community members' input. I believe that since March, when the schools shut down due to the pandemic, the schools have had ample time to prepare for reopening schools, but have failed to do so. I believe the McKinleyville School Board needs strong leaders who will advocate for equity for all children. This year alone, McKinleyville has lost over 125 kids due to the reopening plan. It is my hope that I will advocate to regain those students for the following year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we will begin with our first question. And the first one to answer will be Nicholas Somm. Question is, do you have children or grandchildren attending the McKinleyville schools? And what experiences and interactions have you had with the McKinley Union School District school community?
So I have 3 children that not only historically, but also currently attend McKinleyville Union School District. I happen to have a child at each site this year, all 3 of our schools. We've had an incredibly positive experience. My children have been in the traditional and dual language immersion program. And so we've had, firsthand experience with both of those educational programs in our district. And so my interaction also with the district has been quite extensive since I've been on the board since 2015. And I've been proud to be able to contribute to a lot of successes and lead us through some challenges along the way.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
Yes, so I have had 3 sons that have attended Dallas Prairie and Morris. This year we elected to move them to a private school based on the need that me and my husband work out of the home, and they needed to have an education provided for them. I have been an advocate for McKinleyville schools. I have helped with the PTO. I have been very involved as a parent. My kids also have done the Spanish immersion side as well, and have been a big advocate for the Spanish immersion in McKinleyville. I think McKinleyville has great education to offer to the kids of McKinleyville.
Okay, thank you. And Chelsea Rios.
I currently do not have any students at McKinleyville schools. My daughter she will be 1 next month, but my goal is to be on a board and have great things for her when she is at the McKinleyville schools. I have many friends, community members who all send their children to McKinleyville community schools, as well as I have attended and helped in trade workshops, school events at Dallas Prairie, at the middle school. So I am a strong advocate for McKinleyville Community Union School District.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
Yes, I have no children, and I have zero bias or interest other than to see the district succeed as a district, and any input that I may offer, I will greatly abide by.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will start with Rachelle Hicks. And the question is, what do you like best and value most in the district and the education students receive here?
There's many things that I value about McKinleyville School District. I value that it's a school where I live. I think it's very important for children to attend a school in your local area. They grow up with the friends, they play sports. It's just a community atmosphere. You move on to the high school. I value the fact that they have a Spanish immersion program and a traditional program in one, where all the kids can be included in the same school. So my kids in traditional can also go with the Spanish speaking children as well. I value a lot of the teachers there. I've had a very good experience with them, and so they've supported my family greatly.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
Can you repeat the question?
What do you like best and value most in the district and the education students receive here?
I value the administration and the staff and their commitment and the programs that they offer.
Okay, thank you. And Nicholas Sohm.
Well, McKinleyville itself is a great community, and I feel like our schools are a true reflection of that. And so I really value how easy it is to get parents to be involved and support our schools, be it for fundraising or attending activities and events. Every time you go to an event in one of our schools, there's a lot of positive energy. I also love the educational program options, having a STEAM option and the immersion. And I'd also say about our teachers, not just that I've had a good experience with teachers, but I've noticed in McKinleyville that we have quite a few teachers that stick around for years and years. And to me, that's an indication that they're enjoying their job and they enjoy working in this community as well.
Thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Nancy, can you please repeat the question again?
Sure. What do you like best and value most in the district and the education students receive here?
What I value the most about this district is the personal connections with the teachers and the students. We are a small community here in McKinleyville, and I feel like there is a lot of interaction between the teachers and students. Personally, I also admire the Spanish immersion program. As someone who is raising a bilingual child, my daughter is both learning Spanish and English at the same time, so that is something that is great, that it's going to promote both herself at school and at home. And then I also value trades education too. I feel like the district takes into consideration trades education as well as traditional education.
Okay, thank you. The next question, we will begin with Manuel Fonseca, and the question is, what would you like to change about McKinleyville Union School District?
With my short stint at the board, there's nothing in particular that I would like to change. I would like to see that as a board member, we accommodate the necessary needs to ensure the students' success, as well as the staff and administration's success.
Okay, thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Nancy, can you please repeat the question again?
What would you like to change about McKinleyville Union School District?
I think a hot topic right now is in-person instruction, and that is something that I personally would like to change. I think that statistically speaking, from the last SARC report, that the percentage of students that are economically disadvantaged or have disabilities are in the high 70s and 80s. So to me, that seems like we need to offer these students with IEPs, economically disadvantaged, the option of face-to-face instruction. This is where they are struggling. We need to include parents. We need to listen to them and community members and take all voices into consideration.
Okay, thank you. And Rachelle Hicks.
So this is obviously a harder question just because we have had such a positive experience when we are in school in-person learning with McKinleyville School District. I would say I am a strong advocate for in-person instruction as well during this time. But pre-COVID, what I would have changed is having self-contained classrooms. I really appreciated when my kids had one teacher to the students and not the switching. I feel like that's more of the structure of a K-8 that you have. Also for resource classes, I feel like there needs to be a better connection between the parents, the student, and the teachers as well. I know with having a kid in intervention, there has been a huge lack of follow through on the school's part to keep up in communication with me and how my child is doing as well.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas Sohm.
So, I too actually wish, of course, that we were in a situation where all indicators pointed to a secure and safe environment for in-person instruction, and we just aren't getting those signals from our local health officials. I think, part of being on the school board, it's really important to keep focus on student achievement. So I'd like to see our test scores improve. I'd like to see higher metrics of student achievement and success. I would like to see state funding change to support rural districts. In particular, ours has a much higher impacted rate, and it would help us a lot to have more resources to be able to turn into special ed funding. And that said, we need to do more with the special ed funding we get to really reach those students. And as I said before, we live in an area that has so much tribal culture and history, and I would like to help us work on ways to tap into that more frequently.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will begin with Rachelle Hicks. Please comment on California Proposition 15, the Schools and Community First initiative.
I'm sorry, Nancy, I'm not familiar with that proposition.
That's fine. Perhaps Nicholas Sohm.
Sorry, the mute. So I'm familiar with Prop 15 to the extent that it deals with the longstanding issue in California associated with property tax and how that translates into funding. As it's proposed, and as I understand it, it has to do with commercial property. And so I mentioned before that I feel like the state does a very poor job funding our schools. And so if we can find ways to increase revenues for schools that don't impact families per se, and certainly don't impact middle and low income families, then I think those are things to consider. And as I currently understand it, I support it.
Okay, thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Yes, can you please restate the question?
Yes, please comment on California Proposition 15, the Schools and Community First initiative.
Sure. Yes. So I think that any kind of funding is great for the schools in general. I do personally feel like this tax is going to hurt people within agriculture. I am a strong believer and supporter of the local farmers and commercial agriculture and those kind of things. That's what I was raised in, 4-H and FFA. So that's a little bit of a toss-up for me. But absolutely, I think that you know, all tax dollars that can go towards education is great, but I hope not to hurt sometimes the little man, the farmers.
Thank you. Chelsey Rios, we'll start with you again, or resume with you, I guess. What is your long-term vision for the district?
Nancy, I think you forgot Manuel.
You're right. Manuel, I apologize. Please, can you comment on California Prop 15, the Schools and Community First Initiative?
I am afraid I am not informed enough to make a decision or share an opinion regarding the Proposition 15.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I was distracted here by my dog. Okay, the next question is we'll start with Chelsey Rios, and that is, what is your long-term vision for the district?
My long-term vision for the district is multiple things. I would love to see the test scores rise for at-risk students. I would love to see more support for students with IEPs, students with disabilities. I would love to just see the teachers be more supported, and the instruction between the students and the teachers, support for administrative staff as well. I think that the board is doing a great job of what they're doing right now, but I think there's always room for improvement. So I would love to help with that.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
I think the district has been doing a fabulous job. I see projects that are taking place, such as the infrastructure for the electric school buses. And I've brought up the question of solar panels. I would like to move the district towards a more autonomous, energy autonomous district. Obviously, that would free up some funding that then can get rerouted to the students' educational needs.
Okay, Nicholas Song.
So one of the first long-term goals that I have is really working on enrollment. So a long-term goal for me is to increase enrollment and to increase it at a steady rate, so that we're continuing to build capital and capacity in our district. Certainly student achievement is always, again, I'm going to harp on that. It's got to be at the forefront of what we're doing for the school board. I like the idea, certainly, of maintaining fiscal responsibility and budget stability. So continuing to be proactive with our budget planning, so that we can be responsible with the tax dollars from our community. And long-term, I want our district to be a place where everybody feels welcome. So regardless of race, religion, that's been mentioned before. But really, if you're spending your day as a child in a building and with teachers and students, the last thing you should worry about is things that are going to set you apart. So I want people to feel welcome.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
So it seems like we're kind of all on the same page here. But for me, I would really like our school district to excel academically. Not so much just for the top performing kids, but for all the kids. I would love McKinleyville to be a place that is known for strong academics, higher test scores, as well as a balanced budget. I think it's very important to, you know, lessen the encroachment on the general fund every single year. That goes along with increasing your numbers of students in attendance. I would like parent involvement at all levels, kind of strengthening the community of the McKinleyville Union School District. I think that we have wonderful people involved, and we could have it be a really close-knit school, even though our population is a little higher than a K through 8. So.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will begin with Nicholas Somm, and the question is, what do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities, including the determining of policy?
Well, the board is responsible, of course, for district oversight. That's of the administration and certainly budgetary oversight. Could you repeat the second part of the question, please?
Sure. The board's roles and responsibilities, including determining of policy.
So I also feel like the board's role involves being an interface between the district and the community, and that's two-way communication, and that's facilitating the flow of priorities and information between the district and the community. As it relates to policy, the board really is about saying what, and it's left to the district employees and professionals to decide how. So what really is the policy and the broad general directions that the district should be taking? We shouldn't be micromanaging. We should allow educational professionals to use their expertise to implement those policies in the best way possible.
Thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
So I believe the role of a board member is to develop the policies and procedures and making sure the district is adhering to those. So not so much micromanaging, but also making sure that, you know, the superintendent and the CBO and everybody under there is actually following the procedures. And also I do believe that a board member should be a liaison between the community and the administration, and being fiscally responsible as well.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca?
Yeah, I agree with both Nick and Rachelle, a liaison and an interface. And yes, we are, as a board, we should hold the line for accountability, budgeting. But we, I think most importantly, are here to be a backboard for ensuring success, again, for both the students and the individuals providing the students the education, and the administrators who are oversight for the educators.
Okay, thank you. And Chelsea Rios.
So I believe that the board should be a guiding vision for the district, if you will. Develop policies and implement them, listening to the teachers, the community, the parents, the students, and what their needs are, being fiscally responsible, and just setting policies and procedures and enforcing them.
Okay, thank you. Next question will begin with Rachelle Hicks. And the question is, how do you feel about equity and inclusion in our school district? Equity and inclusion.
Thanks. Yes, I feel obviously that it is a very, very important thing. I think that right now in our world, it's more important now than ever. However, I do think that we are missing a little component to that. And I guess with COVID, it's kind of brought it to my attention a little bit, the socioeconomic difference between the students, and are they being provided for equitable by the district. So I think it's a great thing. I think that we all need to do trainings on it, and we need to implement strategies that all kids can feel welcome in our district.
Thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Yes, so I believe in equity and fairness as a whole. As a minority myself, I am for all minorities, and I'm for, just as Rachelle was saying, the socioeconomic disadvantaged children. And I feel like right now that we could support them more And I feel like we could have trainings and we could just try to work together to bridge any of these gaps and to let all children and teachers and community members feel welcome, that we need to provide a safe space for everyone.
Thank you. Nicholas Sohn?
Yeah, certainly McKinleyville is very diverse socioeconomically. And so that creates an environment where an issue like equity is super important. This is something I've worked on actively as a board member, working on issues such as making sure that those that don't have devices can have access to them, working on issues like access even to internet. Certainly I think dealing with equity and inclusion, they're kind of catchy phrases, but really what it starts with is listening. So I agree that a lot of us need training and we need more exposure, but I think the first thing we need to do is to just start listening. What do people need? Being aware, knowing what kinds of questions to ask, and more so creating an environment where people feel comfortable expressing what they need so that we can actively start effectively dealing with both these issues.
Thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
Given my limited exposure to the district, I feel fairly comfortable and confident in saying that the district is receptive to the inequities that exist within the population, and the district has accommodated the resources as needed.
Okay, thank you. Next question will begin with Chelsey Rios. And Chelsey, how would you address budget cuts in the school district if they were to become necessary?
I would address budget cuts by establishing committees to review what is being cut, to go through what is the stakeholders, or what is at stake, going through what is actually, what is needed, what is most important, what is, inclusive of all people, of making sure that no critical things are being cut. But primarily, I think that all starts with committees and establishing diverse committees as well.
Thank you. Manuel Fonseca?
Again, with my limited experience, I feel what I've been privy to, there is a broad understanding of an all-inclusive, and there's almost a consensus team approach with regards to financial issues. And I would continue to pursue that precedent with regards to the budget, or I'm sorry, with regards to the board and the district itself, where there's a communal, you spread the burden across the board. And I think that's very important. And keeping people informed, keeping people, the individuals involved, the individuals with stakes informed, then everyone is aware of the decisions being made, so no one feels targeted. And I think that, based on my limited experience, has been a precedent set forth that I would like to continue with.
Thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
So I feel like budget would be probably one of my strong points. I have a degree in accounting, and I have, successfully ran a large company for many years. I would definitely start a early committee with all stakeholders, whether it's community members, administration, teachers, possibly even having some of the students on there. McKinleyville is potentially looking at a shortfall of a $1.1 to $1.2 million loss next year based on the students they lost this year. So I would advocate to get that started sooner rather than later. Look at the different areas that you could trim that aren't required by public education, transportation being probably one of those items as well that you could really dial in. So yeah, just committee members and start to plan earlier.
Okay, thank you. And Nicholas Sohn.
So first, I just want to clarify, so the district will lose no money based on enrollment loss next year. The state passed legislation to hold districts harmless for enrollment declines. So it would be a couple years before any of that would be realized. As it relates to, budget cuts, if you're on a school board, you're going to deal with this. And it starts with having a very clear vision instead of goals for your district, because you really can use those to help drive what the priorities are and where you have room to make cuts. We've used several processes over the years that include getting feedback early in the process from key stakeholders. That includes community members, and certainly includes teachers and employees that would be directly impacted by the cuts. And another just key aspect of the budget cuts is to make sure that you're not cutting in ways that impact your ability to reach your goals and hurt student achievement.
Okay, thank you. Our next question will begin with Manuel Fonseca. What is your vision for the future of the McKinley Union School District Language Immersion Program?
So when I was first appointed to the board, I was intrigued by the language immersion program. I am obviously a proponent of the program. Unfortunately, I was deprived of any opportunity to be able to witness it in action myself as an individual due to the COVID closures and scheduling, but I would continue to seek an opportunity to observe and hopefully continue the success that it has had as a program.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas Sung.
I love our language immersion program. I think it's a really unique opportunity for families in Humboldt. And so I will continue to be a strong advocate for that program, but not to the point that it overshadows our other program. Immersion is not for every family. And so we need to make sure that we spend as much attention and resources on our STEAM program that used to be called the traditional program. So again, I will continue to advocate for keeping it as a part of our learning options, but not more than the other educational programs that we offer.
Thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Yes, I am an advocate for the Spanish immersion program, but at the same time, I also noticed that that's not feasible for all families, and that some students would thrive better in a more traditional curriculum. So I think that it's great to have the option out there, and as I said, I will continue to support it, and but as well as traditional education, and realizing that one option is not going to fit all.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
Thanks. I am a huge advocate for Spanish immersion. Two of my kids started in there. Unfortunately, they didn't excel, not based on, anything the teachers did, just based on, it's not for everyone. I still think that it's an amazing program for McKinleyville to be able to offer that. I think it's a draw to our school. I also think it goes back to that inclusion. There are, a lot of Spanish speaking children that I bet that they feel a lot more welcome in a class like that, rather than a STEM, or is that the new term? I think traditional, class. I kind of differ. I feel like when my children were in Spanish immersion, I felt like the traditional kids got to do a lot of more of the traditional things I did growing up. And so I would be an advocate to see the Spanish immersion students being able to utilize some of those activities that the traditional kids get to.
Okay. And Chelsea Rios has already answered the question.
Yes.
So, okay, sorry about that. Next question, we'll start with Rachelle Hicks, and is, how will you address civility and open discussion about all issues within the school district and the community?
So will you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Sure. How will you address civility and open discussion about all issues within the school district and the community?
So I think just going back to being the liaison between the community and the administration and the teachers and the people that, you know, have more knowledge and that type of thing, just making sure the community feels like their voices are being heard.
Okay, thank you. Now, Chelsea Rios.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was actually having speaker issues. Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. It's a little bit of a esoteric question, perhaps. How will you address civility and open discussion about all issues within the school district and the community?
Yeah, so I think as being a board member, you need to have an open door policy. I want to advocate for parents to reach out to me, community members, and to bring their concerns to the table. I don't want anyone to feel like they're left out or that they do not have a voice. I think taking all of those things into consideration, working closely together with the my other board members, and making decisions that would help everyone. And thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Song?
Yeah, you know, really, I feel like the board sets the tone for this. We need to model that behavior first and foremost. And, you know, that includes at meetings and outside of meetings. I believe we can model that with the way we respond to communications we get, be it people we run into at the grocery store or responding respectfully and completely to emails that we get. I've offered, you know, on Zoom candidate forums for people to provide feedback, trying to create a safe place where people can bring their concerns. I think it's an area we need to continue to work. You know, people get nervous speaking in public, and I think if we really want to foster open discussion, we need to continue to strive to create a safe environment where people feel comfortable doing that.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca?
Yeah, I would like to second both what Chelsea and Nick said, and inevitably it does come down to the board itself, and I would like to commend Dr. Sam for his ability to handle public comment in the meetings that I've witnessed him chair, and I really admire that, and I would like to see the board continue with setting that trend forth.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Chelsea Rios. Question is, what steps would you take to ensure the safety of students, staff, and the community throughout this pandemic?
So, well, first, with following the CDC guidelines, I feel like they have really put forth the steps needed for schools. Locally in our community, we have multiple schools that are open, and they have been showing that it's safe to. There has been no large breakout of cases, and you know, following all the guidelines, masks, 6-foot distances, you know, everything that we can do to keep these kids safe. Hand sanitizing, washing hands. I mean, I think we're all pretty well versed in it at this point. But I feel like there are so many guidelines out there that we can exemplify and put forth.
Thank you. Nicholas Sohn?
Yeah, this is the most hot button issue that's come through our district in a while. Very polarizing. I think that, you know, we continue to be in an environment where our local health officials advised against groups gathering, non-family groups larger than 4 to 6 from getting together. I'm a statistician by trade, so I'm used to dealing with data. I deal with data every day, and more than just use it, you know, I interpret it. And so I value the continual use of information. I think we need to be constantly assessing the situation, and I can tell you, at least in the current board, we certainly are, and that's part of the reason we set up these intermediate blocks. So I think in terms of handling the safety in the pandemic, it needs to be a constant assessment, and we need to make sure that we create a safe environment, a confidently safe environment for our community members, their children, and our employees.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca?
Yes, I personally made the motion to maintain the school closure through the pandemic, and I stand by that decision. I feel that the decision was made based on information available to us as a board, and I will continue to advocate for that decision so long as the information coming in supports that decision. Of course, I am open to any new information available to us. However, I also believe that whatever the CDC has to offer is not particularly applicable to us as a small community. We have to look at the information applicable to our community in particular. And with that said, that's where I would be making my decisions from.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks?
Thanks. Will you repeat the question?
Sure. What steps would you take to ensure the safety of students, staff, and the community throughout this pandemic?
So first off, I would start by following the state guidelines that they have put in place for reopening of K through 12 schools. Our local public health officer has not said not to open. She actually left it up to the individual school boards. There are many schools that are open right now and doing fabulous. So to start, I would follow the state guidelines. I would survey parents to see how many kids actually were planning on attending in person. I know that the state has mandated that the school district provides distance learning. I personally feel like McKinleyville School could open fully back up and provide distance learning for those children that do not feel safe. They have MOUs with the Teachers Association, and have also spent $50,000 in PPE purchases. So they are well equipped to open schools up.
Okay, thank you. Next question will begin with Nicholas Sohm, and the question is, what motivated you to run for a position on this board, including any pressing issues you hope to address as a board member?
Well, it's, I think, a question more set up for people that are running for the first time. You know, I had extensive community involvement, especially with kiddos before I ran for the school board. I have almost continuously coached since my kids came of age to participate in sports in 2012. I served on site councils at schools and PTO, and I felt like I wanted to make more of a difference, and that's initially why I got on the school board. I feel like there's unfinished business. I'm equally interested in maintaining a seat on the board as I have had having one. I feel like we have some real issues in front of us. I want to provide leadership coming out of this pandemic, and I believe I have the experience to do that.
Okay, thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
So what motivates me to be on the school board is I have a very large family that lives in McKinleyville, 16 of us little kids that go to school. So I am motivated to make McKinleyville schools the best place for them and as well as everybody else. COVID-19 obviously has been motivating. I feel like the children, there's a lot of children in McKinleyville that have been left out in the decision making. There's a lot of kids at home in unsafe environments that have kind of been forgotten about. And that is something I'm passionate about. I'm on various Little League or sports boards in general, and I'm an advocate for all children. I feel that McKinleyville can do a better job.
Okay, thank you. Chelsea Rios.
So many things motivated me to run. One of those being that my daughter will be eventually attending school within the district. But also what heightened me was during this COVID-19 pandemic is similar to what Rachelle was saying, that students, I feel, are being left behind. You know, we have very high rates of socioeconomically disadvantaged students with IEPs, students with disabilities who are not being cared for. Just last night, we had a concerned parent address the board that their student was not being taken care of well. And I want to see that all students are taken care of and that they are, again, with an open door policy, and that they feel like they can reach out to us. And that's something that I really want to see on the board.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
I would like to clarify the fact that all children are being taken care of within the district to the district's full capacity. And furthermore, I'd like to thank the individuals who are providing the care and assistance for the children in the district. But being that I don't have any children in the district myself, what drives me to resume the position is pure altruistic purposes.
Okay. I believe this will be our last question. So we'll start with Rachelle Hicks. And the question is, what qualities and behaviors should McKinleyville Union School District board members exhibit?
I believe they should be hardworking. They should be kind. They should be respectful. They should be open-minded for sure. And they should be willing to put in the time and effort to make our district better for all children.
Okay, thank you. Manuel Fonseca.
I would second that. Furthermore, I would like to say state the fact that as a person who is representing the district, professional public persona goes a long way.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas Sohn?
I was having some speaker issues also. I think I know it. Is it? Well, go ahead and just repeat the question, please. I didn't get it the first time.
What qualities and behaviors should McKinleyville Union School District board members exhibit?
So, first and foremost, we need to be upfront and open and very clear with our constituents in the community. I think that involves being active, actively making yourself available and creating a safe place. I certainly think that we need to model behavior that goes well beyond our own experience, and that starts with listening and acting on what we're hearing and being representatives of the community that elects us.
Okay, thank you. Chelsea Rios.
Yeah, so educated in decisions, integrity, hardworking, trustworthy, decisive, and a strong community member.
Okay, thank you. That was quicker, so it's time for our closing statements. And if there's something that a question hadn't addressed or something you want to add, please include that at this time. And our closing statements will begin with Manuel Fonseca.
Well, I would like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank you personally and everyone who is interested in running for this position. I encourage the community to inform themselves on what the school board is responsible for and what is within their capacity before passing judgment on anyone that is on the school board, because as a school board we are making a decision as a body, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. So I commend each and every one of you who is running for the position, and best of luck to all.
Thank you. Nicholas Sohn?
Yeah, I too I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this tonight, and my fellow candidates for showing up. I think that the more people that run, the more engaged a community is, and that can only lead to more positive outcomes. I know that we all love serving this community so much, and I have a lot of respect for everybody that's here tonight. There's going to be some significant challenges in front of us as a district. Some of those are known, and quite a few are going to be unknown. as we rise out of the economic and social pressures that have been levied by the pandemic here. There's also going to be tough decisions to be made in a state with relatively low student funding and relatively high cost of doing business. It's going to take strong and experienced leadership to pull this off. And I have a strong track record of thoughtful and measured decision-making that considers the diverse perspectives of all McKinleyville residents. I have a clear and documented history of driving district decisions towards positive learning outcomes and achievement for all students. I've demonstrated a proactive approach and desire to receive feedback and comments from everyone in our community. And finally, I'm here for the long haul, having shown that I always follow through fully on commitments that I make to our community.
Thank you. Thank you. And Chelsey Rios.
So I would like to thank you guys for holding this forum tonight, and also the other candidates and the current sitting board too. As Nick was saying, this is a tough time and there are tough decisions to be made, and I personally feel like I am up for the challenge. I want to boldly advocate for these children. I will be committed to reviewing board policies to ensure that our school district is focused on improving student achievement and accountability. I'm enthusiastic about using data to monitor our continuous improvement. And I really look forward to collaborating with staff and the community to maximize student success if I am elected into this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachelle Hicks.
Just as the others have said, thank you for having us here. It's exciting to be running against people. It means that people love the community of McKinleyville. As I shared earlier, I am a native of I'm a Humboldt County resident, born and raised in the county. I'm familiar with our demographics and our challenges that we have in the community. I know the powerful impact that school plays in our lives of our children. I believe it is imperative that we provide in-person instruction to all students while implementing safe practices to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 among our students and staff. I know we can do this safely, just as other school districts throughout the county have, in order to provide an equitable education solution for all students. What we are doing now does not provide an equitable education for all students. What we are doing now is providing a limited education for those students and families with resources available to them. With a high poverty rate in our district, we need to provide the opportunity for direct instruction to all students, at a minimum, a hybrid model for those students. A vote for me is a vote to open up our schools in order to provide a safe, thriving, and learning environment.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, on behalf of the League of Women Voters and also Access Humboldt, I want to thank the four of you for being here with us tonight and making yourself available to answer these questions, and for running for public office. Thank you. Very courageous thing to do, and the community appreciates it. I want to thank all the people that are going to tune in and watch this video and meet the candidates and hear you respond to their questions. And please remember to vote on November 3rd. Become an informed voter. Exercise your right to vote and help make democracy work. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.